Welcome to the second episode of Series 84, everyone. This month we have previous guest Satah with us to talk about two games kickstarting as one book, Galactic and Going Rogue. This episode covers character creation for Galactic, including some stellar world building. But before we get to that, we do have some calls to action coming up after the show, so here's what to expect.
Join us after the show where we'll have more info on the Galactic and Going Rogue Kickstarter, a call to action for our Patreon, including how you can get a custom C3 branded enamel pin, info on how to leave a review for the show, as well as our patron thank you and gasp, a new review to read. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone.
Before we finally jump into our character creation, are there any terms or concepts that you feel like people need to know before we start? Also, sometimes it's best to just learn as we go. Either way is fine. We like to ask.
For character creation itself, I don't think so. I think that everything's pretty well explained on the sheets themselves. Any complexity with setup sort of comes into moving past character creation and, how do these things intersect with the pillars and the other parts of the games. But if we're just making up some cool friends, then I think we're probably good to go.
All right.
Excellent. Very good. Shall we make some people?
Yeah.
Let's make some people.
Excellent.
Let's make some people.
I have a pitch for how we can do this with both games.
Yeah, I was
if you're open.
Two games. So how do we want to do it?
Yeah.
Tell me.
So I think because it seems like Galactic is geared towards creating a group of characters and a setting along with that. And Going Rogue is you're creating the characters that are going to be doing their self-sacrificial mission of sorts, right? What if we created Galactic characters and setting and then did Going Rogue characters that are good friends of our first characters?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing, Going Rogue has a lot of the similar setting, but it in Galactic proper, you have the Liberation, and then Going Rogue separates the Liberation into the Parliament and the Intelligence to sort of get into the nitty gritty of it, but it has very similar base otherwise, and so I think that they could totally work together. That sounds awesome.
Sure. I think that'd be a lot of fun because then it'll add a little bit of tragedy, extra tragedy to our Going Rogue characters.
We were just thinking, we're what would be great is if we made our listeners sad.
Yeah.
People are enjoying this show too much.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do first for Galactic character creation?
I believe the setup for Galactic is to just start making characters. Yeah, basically, we have a bunch of different rules or playbooks, and the idea is that we will all pick one that interests us the most, and then we'll choose a couple of aesthetic options for them, a couple of little specific personal details. There are questions and pick lists, and once we have the core character concept, we will create basically actually I would be curious, it is part of character creation to create other characters, to create NPCs. Do you want to do that whole process where we also do that?
Let's do the whole.
Cool.
Let's do a whole session 0 with it.
All right, so we will be creating a whole crew.
Like, more characters is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll create. We'll do our basics. We'll create a couple of NPCs, and then once we have our sort of core things, there are relationship questions that we answer as a party. Sort of like ask the person to your left, ask the person to your right, one of these playbook specific questions to develop your relationships. And I think that's about it. So, are there any playbooks that are really hopping out to you?
Well, do you want to kind of like run through and just like give a quick, just for our listeners, like a quick rundown of each?
Luckily, they all have a pretty good little pitch.
Yeah, I was like, they'll have like 1 or 2 sentences at the top. It makes it a little easier.
Our very first one, and the playbook of the galactic character who I've played the most of, who I have a tattoo related to, the Ace. The Ace is a skilled pilot. Their power comes from their agility, conviction, and nerve. They have moves like get yourself or someone else out of harm's way, or make a rash maneuver that puts you or others in danger. You have your Nova. You are the Nova. The Nova is attuned to the space between. Their power comes from their emotion, focus, and intuition. This is your Jedi, but cool.
Mm-hmm.
You are the Defector. The Defector used to work for the Mandate, but got out. Their power comes from their compassion, determination, and will to change. There's the Diplomat, who has a position of power or influence in the galaxy. Their power comes from their leadership, negotiation, and strategy. The Diplomat is one of the playbooks that gets an extra relationship because you're connected. And that's a very like social role with, I mentioned some of those moves earlier, like get captured or discover betrayal and then de-escalate conflict between parties with a common goal. There's the Scoundrel, who's a member of the underbelly of the galaxy. Their power comes from their connections, recklessness, and criminal history. And there is the Mechanic. The Mechanic is a fixer. Their power comes from their mechanical knowledge, drive, and insight. They've got moves like jury rig a temporary solution while under duress, or admit you don't understand something.
These are all very good.
And so in short, it's very much like you got your cool pilot, you've got your sort of like sci-fantasy magic user, you have your redemption arc, you have your face, your politician, you've got your criminal, and you've got your tinkerer. Those are the basic books.
I know I've got one at the top of my list, but I'm very curious what the two of you are thinking.
Don't know. I'm like very indecisive today. What are you feeling?
I'd actually love to hear yours, Ryan. Yeah.
So the one that always just kind of jumped out at me right away, because I'm a sucker for a decently written Jedi, is a Nova.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna make a deal. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not a magical girl.
It's not a magical girl.
This is not a magical girl.
No.
We're gonna have one session of this show.
Hey, I can do it. And to be fair, I wasn't thinking magical girl when I was thinking of the Nova. I was thinking Jedi counterpart, effectively. Okay. No transformation sequences here.
Okay.
Oh, it's a tough one because it could work, but it's not going to. It's not going to happen.
Now, Sada's going to make the magical girl counterpart.
Yeah, right. Sounds like you didn't say I couldn't.
I think I would prefer not to do the ace just because for me, I have a character who is my ace and who will forever be that playbook to me. And so it would feel like stealing from them almost somehow to try and do something with that playbook.
Disingenuous to try and make somebody else. It's fair.
And so I am drawn to the Defector and the Mechanic.
Okay.
I think one thing that's interesting to me about the idea of the Defector is with the knowledge that we are going to be also creating Going Rogue characters, there are quite a few Going Rogue characters who also have a history with the Mandate. And so the idea of creating a Defector feels like it could show some really interesting ties between the two parties, but that doesn't have to be the direction.
Yeah, I'm kind of like leaning toward either like Defector or Diplomat.
Ooh. I mean, if you want to make the most characters, diplomat and scoundrel have the most relationships. So those are both really good options.
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe I'll do diplomat.
Cool.
Very cool.
And
it's hard because like the stakes are so low for picking character types on this show because it's like I don't have to do anything with them, but like that almost makes it harder.
I think actually I'm gonna go with the mechanic just because there might be maybe the connection isn't what I'm looking for. Maybe I'm looking for sort of exploring a totally different space than we would in Going Rogue. So
I love it.
Why not?
Okay, so we got a Nova, a diplomat, and a mechanic.
Yeah. And so the first thing that we do is choose a couple of aesthetic options. This is your look and your wardrobe style. Personally, I often come back to these. I find it hard to define what a character looks like before I know more about them.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
For instance, you've got the mechanic has appraising eyes, distant eyes, curious eyes, an intense stare, focused eyes, skittish eyes, or earnest eyes. And then they have greasy hands, distracted hands, worn hands, gloved hands, clean hands, scarred hands, or careful hands. And then their wardrobe styles have things like a tool belt, a repurposed uniform, goggles, a ring of keys, and a few other options. And basically you choose one of each of the first ones and then 2 to 3 of the wardrobe styles.
Oh, good. We get to pick more than one of the wardrobe because I was like getting a little stressed out looking at this list.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine. Well, then don't make me choose. I want hoods and impractical dresses. Impractical dresses with hoods.
Oh, that's
yes,
the
please.
dream. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So are there options that pop out to either or both of you, or do you want to look at the next section to help provide inspiration?
I'm honing in on a couple of options for the look currently.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know about the look yet. Like the wardrobe, I'm like all in here. Like we are gonna have impractical dresses, hoods, metallic accents, signature hairstyle. This is tough. Ooh, what if we do also a concealed blaster, concealed in my impractical dresses with hoods?
Ooh,
nice.
I don't know about my look yet because these are all like demanding voice, tired voice, formal speech, hopeful voice. Like I don't know. I've got to feel out a little more about who this person is before I know what the voice or the smile are. You know?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go a little bit more tragic with my character.
Shock.
So they are going to have a haunted face with distant eyes. A lot of other wonderful options out there. But then their style, I took a little bit of inspiration from Final Fantasy games, I think. So I went with leather belts, an Astra Blade holster, and flowing robes.
All right.
I think the wardrobe options that I narrowed in on are a repurposed uniform, goggles, and a ring of keys. And I think what that starts to lead me towards, I was thinking, I always love the idea of like a repurposed uniform, like showing a little bit of like, who was this character? What is their history? And with the combination of goggles, it made me think of like this mechanic being a retired pilot in some way or form, like used to fly and now primarily does mechanical work. And I don't know yet if there was like a reason that they, like what the reason was that they retired or what pulled them out of it. But I think that's where I'm leaning. And so I decided that could contribute to the look, having them having curious eyes and worn hands.
I love that.
And yeah, I was thinking I was trying to choose between a repurposed uniform and hastily tied back hair, because hastily tied back hair is such a great like character vibe. Generally,
here's the thing: you can have both.
That's
I know,
true.
like it says pick 2 to 3, but there's nothing that says that later on you can't describe that as a thing about your character.
That is very true. I do think the repurposed uniform is specifically like they wear. It's like the image of someone working in a pit crew, like wearing their old racing jacket type thing. Like they wear just the jacket of their old pilot uniform.
Yeah.
Just very casually.
And then next we have like different kind of thing. Like, say it looks like you and I have different things to choose. Like I have beliefs.
Yeah,
To
so
choose.
those are like generally all of the playbooks, they don't have the same options, but they share very similar things for the aesthetic options. These next ones are very playbook specific. So yeah, for instance, the mechanic has a pick list of 2 desired currencies with options like compliments, conversation, credits, and then 3 you always have with you with things like something to write with, a knife, too many hair ties, and then
Too many.
what are the options for the Nova? What are the things you have to decide?
Who were you before the space between? Kind of like the hero's origin in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 things that I have and 2 things that I'm searching for.
Yeah. And what are the diplomats?
So I choose 2 beliefs. So just some examples as I'm reading them here. If someone must do something they will regret, it should be me. Violence is necessary for creating a peaceful future. And then I also have choose 2 you engender in others. So respect, righteous anger, reassurance, etc. So
Yeah.
those are like big choices.
I love those for the diplomat. The ways that the diplomat mechanizes social currency is so cool to me, especially since that can be in so many things. Like, are you trying to earn people's respect, or is there something about you that just like people just respect you and that kind of thing? There's so much to explore there about like what your character is doing on purpose.
Oh, and then do we all have to choose relationships too? Oh yeah, choose relationships. We'll get to that too.
Yeah, you get 1 more, but we all have at least 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Choose 2 beliefs.
Okay.
Ooh, I think one of the currencies I'm going to choose is license for experimentation, and I think that starts to hint at why I'm not a pilot anymore. Because I was maybe futzing with some engines, etc., when I maybe wasn't totally supposed to.
That is not street legal.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to go with, I'm trying to decide between gossip and conversation while I work for a desired currency. I think conversation while I work makes this character trend a little bit lonelier, I think. But I like the idea of it being something social, because if this mechanic wants to, it like is no longer flying in the way that maybe they wanted to, the idea that like they want gossip, they want stories from the front lines or whatever, I think makes a lot of sense. I think I'm going to go with gossip.
I love gossip as a currency. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I say playing the diplomat.
Yeah.
Choosing these.
Okay, I've got mine here for the Nova.
Mm-hmm.
So who was I before the space between? I went with space royalty because I thought that was really interesting. And that goes along with some of the stuff that I had chosen for the things I have and searching for the things that I have an Astroblade and the secret to my heritage. So nobody else knows that I come from space royalty.
Ooh, cool.
And I am searching for a sense of belonging and the mandate's hidden vulnerability.
Cool.
I'm struggling with the beliefs, but I think I'm going to go with, if someone must do something that will regret, it should be me. And there is no such thing as negotiation with the mandate, because I like the idea of a diplomat that's like, no. No, not doing that.
They will never come to the table in good faith.
Right. And just like, like playing, like, what do you do with somebody whose like whole job is to do negotiations but I won't negotiate with you. Like,
Right.
And then
That's really cool. Yeah.
Choose 2 you engender in others. I put righteous anger and focus.
Nice.
Do you have a feeling of like when you say righteous anger, does that mean you're really good at like talking to people to be like, hey, things are wrong and you should care about it, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I feel like I view it as a sort of like an extension of like empathy, if that makes sense. That like things are unjust, you know.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and here's why you should care about what happens to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it's 3 I always have with me. Well, then even better, because I was trying to narrow it down a little bit more. So I think somewhat straightforwardly, 2 things I always have with me are the right tools and random spare parts. And the third thing that I always have with me is suspicion. And I think in part that comes from whatever this backstory is of me not flying anymore and also wanting to be allowed to experiment on your spaceship, that I have a lot of like, hey, you're not going to like tell anybody like about this, right? Like I'm not being entrapped right now, right?
You have to tell me if you're a cop.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay, those are the sort of basic choices there. And then we all get 2 or 3 relationships, and these are NPCs. NPCs get associated with pillars and play into the token economy in that way. You'll see that the relationships have descriptions. So for instance, the mechanic has one option that is my friendly or gossipy helper droid. Those adjectives give the NPCs moves. So for instance, the trait gossipy can give you the move start a rumor about someone and give them a token, or listen in and gain a token. So every NPC has a trait. A trait gives you 1 or 2 moves, and then they play with the tokens that are on the pillars, the setting elements. So they're just sort of another way to like push the narrative forward and keep tokens moving and that kind of thing. You can find the traits. If this is the up-to-date book, you should be able to click on the trait to see what the moves are. Yep. And if none of them are working for you, absolutely feel free to use another trait. That isn't a problem. And one thing that I always think is fun, though not necessary strictly, is to tie our relationships together. Like if I chose my dramatic ex who still comes to me for repairs, there's no reason why that couldn't also be the diplomat's
dramatic missing twin.
Dramatic missing twin. Yeah, that's fantastic. And even like adding multiple traits to an NPC is totally fine. So we could decide that they're both a scheming mandate spy and my dramatic ex, and then they get 2 different moves and that kind of thing. It isn't totally necessary, but it's just a fun way to like start the game with characters tied to each other with those relationships and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, these are so cool.
Yeah, I like these a lot.
All right.
The mechanic has a couple of droid relationships, and I love droids, so I am probably going to choose at least one of those. But these, I love this. This is like the system design of this game and these types of games is so tight to me. Like you learn so much about your character. If I chose my focused older sister who taught me how to fix things, that just like brings like shines the spotlight on a whole different part of the character's backstory than we've had any reason to think of before. And I just the minimalism of the things that you choose and how much information they give you is just like some of my favorite stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, because I got a whole new backstory for my character based on these 2 relationships.
Ooh.
I have to pick 3 relationships. Okay, yeah. Sorry, tell us about yours while I'm still...
Okay, so I went with first the innocent family I left long ago. So I'm from royalty, and I left them for a specific reason. They weren't bad people or anything like that, but I left them to try to protect the kingdom or whatever, right? That sort of ordeal. But then the reason I actually left is I also have a relationship with the burdened child I see in visions. And I think that this is my character's future child that does not exist yet.
Oh my God.
And that child is like kind of guiding me towards trying to figure out a way to effectively stop something from the mandate before it becomes such a problem in the future.
So it sounds like the kid would definitely be associated with the space between pillar. Just briefly, the 4 pillars are the space between, the mandate, the liberation, and the scum and villainy. And NPCs use the token pools for pillars. Player characters, we get our own token pools. Pillars get their own token pools. Do you have a sense of who your family would be associated with? Are they also space between? Like, do you come from a Nova family, or are they associated with the mandate, or are they criminals, or are they also rebels? And it doesn't have to be literally that. Like, they don't have to literally be members of the liberation. It's more about, like, this is somewhat abstract. What part of the story do they give narrative force to?
Right. Let me think. As I'm thinking, could I get a quick rundown of the 4 again?
Yeah. I'll actually just read the little pitch that they all have, because they're pretty short and they're really good. So the space between. The connections between people are what surround us and give us strength. The galaxy is never silent. It is alive and humming with energy that you can feel if you pay attention. When channeled correctly, the space between can turn dominions into empires and revolts into revolution. But be careful, for concentrated power can be dangerous for anyone who dares come near. It's the Force. You know how it is.
Yeah. Right.
The mandate. Sometimes it feels like there's no escape from its gravity. The mandate is an intergalactic superpower that uses its might to control the galaxy with fear, propaganda, and alienation. The only way the mandate can perpetuate itself is with constant aggression, advancement of weaponry, and violence, and we know that it will eventually collapse under its own weight. However, until then, it continues to cause death and destruction across the galaxy. Then we have the Liberation, which is our team. There are many in the galaxy who are not willing to go down without a fight. The Liberation are your comrades in arms, the people of the galaxy who are actively resisting and fighting back against the mandate. No revolution is perfect. It's made of people who are prone to disagreement and distrust. But that, many say, is what separates them from the mandate, working together towards a better future for the galaxy. And then finally, of course, we have the scum and villainy, criminals.
Beautiful.
Just plain and simple. I like it.
And again, yeah, it's if the family were associated with the liberation, they wouldn't have to literally be revolutionaries. They would just narratively give them power. The mandate is easier to explain. If an NPC is associated with the mandate, they don't have to work for the mandate. They can just be somebody who is really willing to uphold dangerous social values, right? Like, they are just a character who, when they act, they are going to be giving narrative power through some form or another to the mandate, even if they aren't literally like wearing stormtrooper uniforms or anything like that.
Yeah.
So these relationships that we're choosing to, like, these don't necessarily have to be allies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. That answers my last one.
Yeah, I think my family, the innocent family, is probably more aligned with the liberation, but like secretly aligned. They're kind of like the planet or whatever, assuming single biome planets, that they're the planet that they are the rulers of, is kind of like a more of a neutral territory that is secretly plotting the mandate's downfall.
Got this.
I love that. Okay, cool. And have you had a chance to look at the trait moves and see what 1 or 2 would be interesting to you? So, for instance, for innocent family, we scroll down to innocent. There are 3 options, and then you choose 1 or 2. Their options are hope for the best and gain a token, ask someone a question they'd rather not answer and give them a token if they tell the truth, and offer someone physical affection and give them a token if they accept in a way that is comfortable for them.
Mm.
And the family thing is definitely a slightly odd one because it unlike, I think, almost every other relationship in the games, it's not about just one person, which is really interesting, actually. But yeah, so just 1 or 2 of those moves, and then also was the vision kid burdened? Was that what you said?
Yes.
Cool.
Burdened, which makes a lot of sense for them.
The 3 options for burdened. I love this first one so much. Sigh deeply and gain a token. Lash out at someone for something minor and give them a token. Take on more than you can handle and give the person who comes to your rescue a token.
Ooh. Okay. So for the family, the innocent portion, I think hope for the best and gain a token makes a lot of sense for my character. And then I think offer someone physical affection and give them a token if they accept it in a way that is comfortable for them makes sense, because I think the culture of the royals on this planet are we keep to ourselves. It's proper to not show affection, especially in public. And even I'm getting kind of like almost Vulcan sort of vibes. Like it's proper to be like physical affection is a thing that we don't necessarily strive for in that culture as royals specifically. So to offer that as a royal is stepping out of my comfort zone to benefit another person effectively by giving them that token. So I thought that would be pretty cool. And then for the burden child, I have to take the sigh deeply and gain a token.
Absolutely. It's so good.
Because that's fantastic. But also take on more than you can handle. I think my character is a little cocky at times, right? And I think that gets them into trouble.
Yeah, I will point out that these traits are, they reflect on your character, but they are about the NPC. So, for instance, with the move sigh deeply and gain a token, what that would mean is we could play out a scene where you're having a vision. You're talking to this kid. Let's say I'm playing the kid. You could express something like, why can't I just walk in and we can just look at their files? And then the kid could be like, it's not that easy.
I gotcha.
Sigh deeply and gain a token. And then that token goes to the space between. And then one of the ways that could play out later is that, for instance, the kid could play the move, take on more than you can handle and give the person who comes to your rescue a token. So you could, like, this future vision kid could try to do weird ghost magic and get trapped in, it turns out the mandate are Ghostbusters and they trap your future vision kid. And this was the kid taking on more than they can handle. And then if you offer to go in and save them, you're going to their rescue, you get a token.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also like the thought that these traits are on my character as well, just because of, like, this is my future kid. So they learned how to behave from me.
Totally.
And then they're my family. They raised me.
Yeah. Yeah, it can definitely be. I just wanted to make sure that the difference was obvious, just because, like, if you want to make an NPC that is just like the polar opposite of your character because you want to have tension there, that's also totally fine.
That makes a lot of sense. I can see how mechanically that can work. I have to change my brain a little bit with, we're also playing these NPCs.
Yep. GM full games.
Exactly.
This is honestly the NPC creation. I think that Riley has said that this was very specifically inspired by Wanderhome. I might be misremembering. That might be just about places, but I think that's true. And it is such a gift when you're playing a game like this, like just having a tiny little thing, like if a character is like, I really want to have a scene with my ex, you just look at the trait and you're like, okay, the ex is dramatic. Here are 2 things the ex is probably going to do. I have a basic character thing, so you can hop into a scene without having to be like, okay, but who are they? Like, am I playing this right? Is this the person you want to be? Just having like a little sketch of them is so nice for those instances.
I like that.
Yeah. I think I have my 2. I have a troublemaker pilot whose ship I'm always repairing, and they're definitely associated with the liberation. And the 2 moves that I'm giving them are start a fight or argument and give those involved a token, and encourage someone to cause trouble with you and give them a token if they do. So I'm definitely picturing this as a pilot who's doing a lot of like slamming the table and standing up in council meetings, being like, we can't just wait around and keep talking about this. We have to do action. And then they get kicked out of the council meeting, and then they come to the party later to be like, hey, we're just gonna go. Can I encourage you to cause trouble with me and give you a token?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then the other relationship that I have is the connected smuggler who gets me rare parts. And this is a scum and villainy NPC. Their 2 moves are take note of who's here and gain a token, and point someone towards who or what they're looking for and give them a token.
Very nice. How's your 3 going over there,
I
Amelia?
think I have mine. So
Ooh.
I have I picked analytical translation droid, who I think I'm going to mark as liberation.
Yeah.
Analytical is where? There we go. What do I want to do? I want to do calculate things in the background and gain a token.
Ooh, yeah.
And then I said my mercenary politician mother, who I'm going to connect to the mandate.
Did you say the mandate mother?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Spicy.
I know. Gotta pick a move here. I'm gonna say ask what's in it for me and gain a token. Yeah. And then, because I'm a trash person who lives for drama, my cocky ex, who's only sort of an ex.
Yay. May I suggest, if you're okay with them being a liberation member, may I suggest that this ex is also the troublemaker pilot?
I love it.
Cool.
I'm cool with that.
It's so funny. Like the game of Galactic that I played, we played like, we all got so intense into it. It was in like the lockdown eras. And so it really became our whole life in a way that it wouldn't outside of that. And like we as a group of 4 wrote 150,000 words of fiction about the characters in the universe.
Amazing.
Like we were very involved. And as I said, I have a tattoo that is related to that game. And I keep having those little moments where like I'm hearing NPCs that ended up being really important. You'll say like, oh yeah, my politician mother, and I'm like, oh my god, it's about that's also what created this character who I know way too much about because of how intense we were about that game. It's so funny. It's just the way that things like develop over the course of play. Yeah.
I think for the move for this one, I'm going to go with insert yourself into someone's conversation or plan and give them a token.
That's perfect. Ooh. Okay.
What a mess.
It's really interesting. Like we have, our characters are, I think, starting the story as almost a little bit more in the background. Like we have like in our NPCs, we have like, you know, a pilot and that kind of thing. And I think the diplomat is probably like really out there, but I think it sounds like a lot of our story would be about like, we can be heroes too kind of thing, which I think is really fun. Yeah. So we have our relationships, we've got the NPCs. And so the next part of character creation, the final part, is ask left and right. And so we're all going to in character, like figure out in character answers to these questions. As an example, like the mechanic has the questions: what broken thing did you ask me to fix recently? Why have I been on your mind recently? Why am I suspicious of you? And what did I lend to you recently? So we are going to like collaboratively answer these together in pairs, essentially, and just sort of like develop some of our relational history and learn a little bit more about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have an impulse for my first question that I like it because it's so off kilter, but let me know if this doesn't like work for you. But Ryan, you're Nova. What broken thing did you ask me to fix recently?
Okay. I wonder if it's my arc blade or my Astra blade.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how it broke?
Let's see. I believe I was a little too brash in a duel. And things got a little too close for comfort, and I had to parry with the hilt of my Astra blade, which made it it technically worked, but like it was unreliable. Like the blade would flicker throughout combat. So like I would have scored a hit, but my blade had turned off at the wrong time. And then eventually I was able to get out of there safely enough. But we needed to fix the hilt because of that malfunction.
Cool. This is sort of like a larger setting question. Do you have an instinct on whether I'd ever seen an Astra blade before? Like, is this sort of thing, like if this is like a very space betweeny weapon, is this as common as you like handing me any, like, here's a blaster, fix it? Or is this you being like, hey, this is a magic weapon, and me going, whoa, I'm going to have to like look into some stuff kind of thing? Like,
I think it's the latter. I think it's very much
I like the latter.
Rare.
Yeah,
it's a super rare weapon, I would say. Like, this isn't like, 14 different corporations have stamped their seals on different models of Astra blades or anything like that. This is something that you have to either inherit, which I think my character has, coming from a royal family, or make yourself.
Cool.
So there's a lot of like customization potential with it. And I think my character knows just enough about the inner workings to kind of like describe how it's supposed to work, but he has no idea how to fix it.
I love that, because the sense I'm getting of like, with my mechanic really wanting to like experiment on stuff, I think that's probably like a huge gift that you gave to them in some ways, where you were like, hey, here's a new weird thing to learn about. And I'm like, yes, good. This is my new hyper focus. I'm going to come up to you in the cafeteria at lunch and just sit down and unprompted be like, so I was researching crystals.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. And there are two that are interesting to me to ask the diplomat. And I'm not sure which one. I'm going to say both. If one calls to you more, let me know. Okay. If not, I'll keep thinking about it. But I'm very curious both about what did I lend to you recently, and why have I been on your mind recently?
Interesting. I had a question that like I wanted to ask you. And so like I don't know how much we want these to overlap, but can like I ask you what I...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because the question I wanted to ask you was, what sensitive information did I tell you recently and why? Like, given the fact that you have this penchant for gossip, and like wanting to know things, and like obviously as a diplomat, I feel like I have access to informations. So I feel like there could be some overlap between that, like why you've been on my mind and like the thing that I told you.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of directions that could go. It could be about, like, are you open about the fact that you are related to a mandate politician?
I hadn't even thought about that. I feel like yes, because I feel
Yeah.
like because I gave her like the mercenary characteristic of like, so I have the feeling that like that like it would have come up openly, you know, the fact that like she would do anything to sort of keep me from, because I'm so openly against the mandate too.
Yeah.
I think that like that would have to be out there.
Adds even more gravitas to your conviction.
Right. Right.
I wonder if you gave me like, so I'm thinking of what I was sort of setting up with, you know, having been retired from the Liberation piloting program in some way. I wonder if you gave me information that was related to the person responsible for doing that. Like there is a Liberation leader who was the one to be like, you're off the force, like you're done. And you gave me information either about them personally or about like political maneuvering that they've been doing.
Okay. So like almost like a little dirt on this person that was like, so like I'm getting the sense that like it was not your choice to discontinue being a pilot.
I think so. Yeah, I think that like it might have been sort of a we're offering you the chance, like you can still be here if you step down.
So can I like the idea that like you were asked to step down as like part of some like political maneuvering because there was some kind of cover up or something happening there, that like this person wanted to move up. And I think that like moving you down helped them in that. And I think like I've given you like the true information about that because like you were basically just told like, no, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, oh, you failed your eyesight exam or something like that. But like that, like there was a falsified report somewhere.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So sorry, what was your question to me?
I think I'm actually going to swap it. So I think the question I'm going to ask is, what did I lend to you recently?
Okay. I want to say that it's some kind of something for my ship that like I can use to like, not fully illegally, but like maybe questionably pick up some communications from other people. So like I am able to like, because you've lent me this thing, be able to like know some things about, you know, the goings on of either like mandate ships or, you know, like political rivals or something like that I didn't previously know.
That's awesome. And I love the idea that like in some ways I'm lending it to you permanently, but it's the kind of thing where we have like an agreement. Like I'm in a very different position from you when it comes to reputation. And so it's almost one of those things where it's like, if you're discovered and there was a big drama, there's an agreement that you can be like, the mechanic, it's the mechanics. It's not I was holding it for a friend. That
like, I can't believe you left this on my ship. But I like the idea that like getting that like kind of report information for you too is like part of this exchange. That like you lent it to me, but it was like sort of like in good faith, here's also this information, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that both of these things lean into your having gossip as a currency.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, that like it is information. It is, you know, like I promise if you lend me this thing, I will give you all of the good tea.
Absolutely.
That's very good.
If there's anything spicy, I'll let you know.
That's perfect. Yeah, some kind of frequency scanner that picks up like signals that you wouldn't normally be able to get as you're like trucking off between planets to do all of your like diplomatic missions. I'm like, hey, scoop these. Cool. Okay, that's both of my questions. So, Amelia, you have one for Ryan, and then Ryan, you've got a couple. Anything popping out to you?
I've got one for Amelia, the diplomat.
Okay.
So for the diplomat, what secret do you know about me?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I know who your family is?
You certainly can.
I don't know that you told me, but I think that like maybe I've like come across them and there was some family portrait in the hallway or something. And I was like, wait a minute. That looks familiar. you know, I think
Yeah,
like,
because as a diplomat, you probably would have dealings with
Right.
them from time to time, potentially.
yeah. And so then like the question also is like, do you know that I know?
I don't think so. I think nobody knows. And so I will deny my past up and down.
Yeah.
And
I very much feel like this is information that I'm like, I don't really like I don't care right now.
right.
You know, like it has I think it's information that I know, but I'm like, this isn't like, I have no reason to like spill the beans at the moment, but it is info that I have.
Right.
And I will say though, like, I don't think that like I've confirmed it or whatever. I think that this is very much of like a, wait a minute, like you look a lot like these people, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. So I know who your family is. I haven't told you that I know that. And I don't know for sure. Like nobody's like I haven't checked genealogy, family history to like find all that out. I'm just like, I think.
Has it changed your behavior towards me?
Not at this point, I don't think.
Okay. Got the stone cold diplomat persona in play.
Well, I just don't know how much like you and I have like interacted for that to like be a factor. You know, or like why it would change my mind. You know what I mean? Like we've determined that your family is like, we're on a neutral planet, but kind of we're like, you know. So that doesn't feel like a thing that would like vastly make me be like, you know, and especially as someone whose mother is like, you know, I feel like I of all people would be like, well, you don't pick your family, you know?
Yep.
So yeah.
That is such a like beautiful little juicy setup for like, we immediately know there's a conversation that your characters are going to have.
Right. And that's where it's just like, awesome. I think this is like a piece of information that I'm holding on to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that'll make a lot of sense later on in the game.
Yeah. I have a juicy question I want to ask you.
Oh, sure.
How did you betray my trust recently?
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, like if you aren't comfortable with that, I can ask you a different question.
No, I think it's good. I think
that's gross because in the past you would like when we first started this podcast, you would not have.
It's very true. No, I think you told me about a sensitive situation like that dealt with maybe people that I know or something like that. Like maybe there was some people that I knew that was in danger, but it was going to be handled and everything. And it should be fine as long as, you know, everything goes well. But to keep it on the down low, right? To like, you can't.
It'll interrupt the fixing if you tell people. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I don't think I told somebody. I think I acted on it and mucked some things up.
Ooh.
And because I acted on it, it was implied that, you know, maybe it could have been a leak somewhere, and there might have only been a few people in the know.
So like could potentially get back to me that I told somebody. Okay.
I don't think I was caught or anything like that. I think it was like I messed up the operations enough to like somebody was told about this.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to help. Yeah.
But there's a concern, I think, that like if people start digging. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
I like that. Do you still have one more question? I think you have to
I
ask
do. I have a question for the mechanic. And I don't know which one to pick, honestly. So I'm going to read the 3 ones remaining. And I'll leave it in your hands, Satah. What intimate moment did we share recently? Why have you been worried about me recently? And what secret are you keeping from me?
Ooh.
They're all very good.
Yeah. I think that this doesn't help narrow the question down, but I like the idea that this is related to something happened while I was repairing your Astroblade. Like I, you know, cracked it open and touched whatever weird power thing is, whatever powers it.
Yeah.
And was like, and learned something about you, or like, I think it's, what's a feeling that you really try to hide in your day-to-day? Like, what is something that you think about a lot that you're trying not to let people know that you think about?
What a good question.
I think it's my future child. Like this person that I am supposed to have known from birth and watch them grow up and help raise them came to me as a complete stranger. So the fact that I know them as, I'm going to say like, probably preteen, early teens or so, right? And there's all of that potential coming in the future, and then kind of almost like a destiny sort of thing attached to it.
I'm kind of confused about this chat. So like, this is a person that like already exists that like
does not exist.
Okay.
I think this is a person that hasn't even been conceived yet.
But you're seeing future visions
who is able to use the space between to reach to the past to try to influence.
Got it. Okay. So I was trying to figure out, I was like, how do we interact with this NPC? I'm confused.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, this is all through visions.
Got it.
So like it could all be made up. It could all be like, this.
By touching the crystal, did you see some of those visions though?
I think what I got is actually just like an emotional memory of you, like the fact that like I got this sense out of nowhere that you are carrying this stress that I don't totally understand the direction of, but I just felt this responsibility and this like the ways that you're being pulled in ways that you don't totally understand. And I think that I don't go in for all that space between stuff. And so like I don't, it doesn't hop to mind like, ooh, I'm experiencing magic right now. I think what it is that I'm just like, I suddenly realize I'm suddenly like, oh, that look like that I see on the Nova's face sometimes. And like the way that, did you use he, him pronouns for the character?
Yes.
And the way that I see him just like looking off and like sometimes he says something that's kind of mysterious and weighty.
Yeah.
I just put together all at once that like you have this big burden on you and this stressor.
Yeah.
And so I'm worried about you because like all at once I've realized that you are like carrying this emotional weight and I don't really understand how or why. And I also don't really know how to approach you about it. Because I think that just isn't particularly a strength of my character. And I think that's actually probably one of the reasons why I'm constantly like showing up and trying to talk to you about research that I've done on fixing astroblades is because I'm like, this is the only way that I know in the moment to connect with you. I was reading about the difference between yellow crystals and purple crystals. Let's have a conversation about it. How are you? You don't have to answer that. Kind of thing. But yeah, just I touched the magic source of your cool space between weapon and have access to like an emotional memory of your day-to-day stressors. And I'm like, that's a lot of stress. Uh-oh, you good?
Yeah. Buddy, let me buy you a coffee. I have a gut feeling that definitely came from nowhere that maybe you need this.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that sounds really cool because then it feels like the Astroblade is not just a tool. It's a connected, like spiritual, magical device that has part of my character's being attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if like in a way that's almost how I relate a little bit to machines generally. Like I think it is true that is a literal like metaphysical, magical thing that is happening in the Astroblade. But I wonder if my character would almost see it as like the same way that like I might say that a ship takes on the personality of its pilot and that kind of thing. And so I'm almost like envisioning this as a character that is going to be like, even if you try to explain like, actually, this is magic, they're kind of like, sounds like the same. Sounds like magic and mundane things are actually the exact same thing.
I definitely felt like that. But yeah. That's happened to me before too. That's cool.
That's very good. I think that's all of the relationships.
I believe it is. Okay, and then was the plan to do the pillars and then do some Going Rogue characters? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. So the pillars are relatively quick. I read them earlier, but let's just let's start with the space between because it's first in the book.
Yeah.
So for pillars, we're going to choose desires. I'm going to read the tips for each of these because I think they're a cool way to start thinking about them. So the tips for the space between are: make the space between feel ancient and enigmatic. Explore both the small ways the space between pervades everyday life and the large ways people can wield it. Ask compelling questions and build on the answers. And the possible desires are solidarity, difficult choices, balance, intense bonds and uncontainable emotions, solitary training, enlightenment, revelation, and unity with those who came before. And Ryan, because you're playing a Nova, I would love to first hear your thoughts on like one of these that really calls out to you.
Yeah. The one that calls out to me the most, I think, is the intense bonds and uncontrollable or uncontainable emotions.
Mm.
And like part of that makes me think of that might be why my blade broke.
Ooh.
Because I'm not embracing that portion of the space between. I need, because I keep people at a distance effectively.
Yeah.
But like, I need to form those bonds and allow myself to feel to be able to wield this power more effectively.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I was going to say, I feel like unity with those who came before seems really important because of your future child. So like obviously like at this point we're playing that backwards, but like you have this unity and you are the thing that came before, right?
Yeah.
But like obviously it would continue further back too.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels like important to me.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Just really like using the like weird time travel futuriness to really like place ourselves very firmly in like the entire continuity of of people, of humanity. That's awesome.
I love that you are the before in that particular scenario, but obviously I think that like, you know, time being how it be, that there's I think you have not maybe explored the like backward part of it yet, but you are finding out about the forward part certainly.
That's wonderful. Okay, and I'm just because they're quick, I'm going to say the 3 moves that the space between has that you can sort of invoke during play are invoke awe and gain a token, reveal an old secret or new truth to someone and give them a token. That plays so well into the unity with those who came before. I love that. And create an unexpected connection between people and give them a token.
I love that.
So let's define our mandate. Let's choose the desires of who we are fighting. The options are untold destruction, unquestioned supremacy, military expansion, an end to the Nova, hierarchy and order, dominion over the space between, and restoration of an old order. Because we have cool space between stuff going on, I'm definitely pulled to one of those 2 options. And I think dominion over the space between is more compelling to me. The idea that we have this like, you know, huge oppressive force that is like looking at this magical, like emotional connection between people, and also one that is very much about like preserving our long history to each other and being like, no, actually, I think we should control that and you shouldn't have access to it.
Yeah. And the idea that like they think that they could like control something that also is like happening in the future is just like the absolute audacity.
I like that a lot.
I mean, I feel like unquestioned supremacy, I don't know if that's different enough. I mean, because like obviously if you want dominion over the space between, you kind of want like, you know, like if you're like, I'm going to conquer space magic, then probably, you know, like, so like, I don't know if that's too much the same thing and we want to have something more different, or if we feel like those 2 play well enough together. Is that like,
yeah, I think if we chose that, what that might almost say to me is that like the space between thing is new. Like it's a new focus of theirs in their like long history of being like, we're going to be on top.
Yeah, that maybe this is like the latest like way to be on top.
Yeah, which I think is actually interesting because it would give opportunity to have a lot of like, you know, what is it that pulled their focus to this? How are they getting it wrong? And why will that be their downfall and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool.
I feel like Untold Destruction is like not as interesting to me. Like,
yeah. Okay, we feel good about those two. Dominion over the space
think
between
so,
and
yeah.
unquestioned supremacy. Awesome. The mandate moves that, in my experience, this is the most used pillar move in the game. Foreshadow a larger threat and gain a token.
I love it.
There's also put someone in immediate danger and give them a token, and intercept information or supplies and give a token to whom you've taken from. And now we will define our liberation. The desire options are retaliatory violence, long shot missions, hope renewed, military strategy, imagination of a better world, ideological discourse, and working together. I'm curious.
It almost sounds like military strategy might fit because we've got at least one faction that's strategically working in the background for the liberation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good possibility. And I'm also curious, like, Amelia, as the diplomat, is there something that calls to you about, like, what are you selling? Like, when you try and go and, like, recruit people, like, what is there one of these where you're like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why you should join us.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're going through all of this, right? If you're like putting in the effort to have this like liberation front or whatever, like you kind of have to have imagination of a better world. Like this idea that this isn't the only option, is that there is an option that's better. Because I don't think I'm interested in just like retaliatory violence. I don't feel like that's like based on like the world that we've built right now. That feels like not big enough, I guess.
Oh, and I guess that ties into how you were talking about righteous anger as well.
Right.
Like the idea that your character is not only like things could be better, but like they could be better.
Care.
Like look at this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, and I don't think like ideological discourse really fits either, because I think I've established, at least with my character, that like I don't have an interest in negotiating this, that like whatever they're doing feels like, no, that's wrong. Like, you know, that's wrong. And so like discourse doesn't feel like quite the right fit either. So like I think imagination of a better world feels like the right fit there.
Yeah. And I mean, given that, unless something else is more interesting, I actually think that the combination of imagination of a better world and military strategy is really interesting. Like the idea of being like, hey, we want something really like beautiful and better. And here are concrete steps that we're going to take to do it. And that also, I think, ties into, as you brought up, like the idea that you're, as the diplomat, not interested in negotiation. Like, be like, I'm not going to sit down with you. I'm going to get information to help make a battle plan to take you down. Right. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm only interested in negotiating, you surrendering completely. Like that's, you know. Yeah.
Cool. Do we feel good?
I'm not saying that like any of this has anything to do with how I'm feeling about the world right now.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I feel good about those. The other one that I was looking at was Hope Renewed, as in like it feels like the mandate is kind of in a different era going after the space between at this point.
Ooh,
whereas before they were focused on something else, and maybe before that they were focused on something else. So they were like trying to hit on multiple fronts. And so people are starting to lose hope. Like they're hitting us everywhere. Like what are we supposed to do? And the liberation's good to fight back on that. But I do like the dichotomy of, you know, the imagination of a better world through
but also a strategy to do that.
Yeah.
I will say we could choose 3. And one of the reasons I like that is because of how well that plays into what we were talking about with the space between of like Unity who came before, but also like us being part of the thing that comes before. So the idea that we would have both imagination of a better world in the future and also renewing hope, like there was hope here,
There
we
was
need
at
to
some
bring it
point.
back.
Yeah.
The idea of having both of those things kind of surrounding our military strategy thing is really appealing to me. If you're okay with us choosing
I'm okay
all
with
three.
that. I think it's an
that sounds really
interesting
Cool.
thing. Like, I think, again, not, with the world the way it is or whatever. But like thinking a lot about like revolution lately, particularly because a podcast I listen to has been talking about like the French Revolution and stuff lately. But like the idea that like we're not just like not this, like, but that like not this, but instead this, and also the idea that like it wasn't always what it is now. That like there was something before this and there will be something after this. Because I think both of those are like important enough and different enough.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, the liberation moves are complicate someone's vision of freedom and gain a token, offer help and solidarity with or without a cost. If they accept, give them a token, introduce dangerous plans and ask others to participate. If they do, give them a token and ask, what does a better world look like to you? And give them a token if they answer. All right, I was going to read the tips. That's what I forgot. The first liberation tip is so beautiful. Be the love the characters must fight to protect.
I like that.
Make decisions about ideology and strategy and be interested in them.
Yeah. And finally, we have the scum and villainy. The possible desires are uncomfortable bargains, understanding, the jackpot, secrecy, strings to pull, escape from this livelihood, fresh blood, and enough credits to get through the week. We haven't interacted with the scum and villainy as much in our conversations.
No.
Yeah,
this is
so
one
this
that's
is
like
sort of like very greenfield.
Yeah, so we know that there's smugglers at the very least, right?
Yeah, because there's the smuggler who gets parts for me.
Yeah. And we know that they're part of that. So like, is it a sell to the highest bidder sort of deal? Do they deal on both sides, or are they like less neutral when it comes to the mandate?
Interesting. I actually, without having a solid answer to that really good question, the thing that pulls me towards is uncomfortable bargains.
I wanted to pick that one anyway, just because I like those kinds of stories.
Yeah, there's
I like
something
tough
that's
choices.
really exactly, and there's something really cool about the idea of like part of the role that the scum and villainy play in this story is pushing on the like, what are you willing to do to get this? Like, are you willing to deal with somebody who also deals with the mandate if it helps your cause? That kind of thing. Like it sets up like really good reasons to have characters like decide what their personal lines are in a way that I think is really cool in a story like this.
Yeah.
And I think the two that pop out to me are secrecy and strings to pull, but I'm genuinely open to
I really like
any of
that one.
those.
I like that one.
Strings to pull?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I think that's really great because we have such social, we have characters who are very social and also have a lot of secrets.
Right.
And so setting up a like underbelly that's really into like getting dirt on people and tugging at that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Cool. The tips for scum and villainy are create smugglers, thieves, mercenaries, and con men with their own needs, agendas, and perspectives, and make decisions about the politics and structure of the criminal underworld and force the characters to interact with them. So I think we've definitely done a little bit of that in our theorizing about it.
Absolutely.
Cool. And that's setup for Galactic.
That's very good.
Oh, there's so much to like play around with here.
Yeah.
There is.
I also can't believe I'm about to say this, but we did not name any of these people.
We did not name
That's
any of
true.
these people. Oh no.
Yeah.
We do have to name our people, I think.
Yes.
Names are hard.
Yeah, I just sort of threw a collection of sounds together, and I'm going with Tessely Sharp. They, them pronouns, and I think most people, or a lot of people still call them by their call sign, which was Edge.
Nice. I think my character only goes by a first name.
Smart.
because giving away the last name obviously would be bad.
Yes.
Oh, good point. Good point.
But his name is Antares.
Ooh.
Oh, I just forgot what I was gonna. I just make up a word.
You can do whatever you want with the names.
No, I can put apostrophes wherever I want them.
You could. You could take an actual word and just like put a couple of apostrophes in it.
That's true. Or depending, just a word and then a title. Like Grievous.
I am going to name my character Loquace Brink.
Ooh.
Nice.
And it's L-O
good
apostrophe Q-U-A-I-S. Loquace.
Like it.
Call to action.
Yeah, like that. So this is interesting because this is the first time that we've done like 2 games in one series. Well, not, you know what I mean. Not in one series because obviously we've had some with micro games and stuff.
Like
but
in tandem, right?
no, this is the first time that we've really done 2 games in tandem like this. And kind of, they will get to play off of each other. But just from doing our galactic stuff, we got so much world building in. And I'm really excited for people to hear what all we did. Like, this was so much fun.
This was a really good series. It was really good.
It's like always surprising to me how much character and world building and stuff you get off of like the very short little prompts that they have in here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Really
yeah, there's so much to talk about, so much to open and unpack as you go through, and like things implicating other things, and it's very, very good.
Yes. The tangled web we weave.
I know. Exactly.
Very good. It's very good. I'm so excited for people to hear all of it. Like,
it's so good.
Yeah. Keep listening, everyone.
I know. Before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action.
First up, if you are enjoying these games, you can check out the Galactic and Going Rogue Kickstarter that is happening right now and going through the end of June. We've got 5 exciting episodes this month to showcase both of the games and how they can be used, even combining them into a bigger campaign. So definitely check out the Kickstarter if you're able to. They've already fully funded and smashed through some of their stretch goals. There's quite a few goals left, though, including a Scum and Villains expansion that is inspired by shows like The Mandalorian. It all looks fantastic. I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of great people working on this project. So follow the link in the show notes for more information if you're enjoying what you're hearing.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to help us out specifically, there are a few ways that you can do so. We'd love it if you checked out the C3 Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. If you are able to help us out, it would allow us to do more for the community and for the show itself. Both of us, Amelia and I, are very close to getting that sweet, sweet free time, which means that we will be able to actually have a lot more energy to devote back to the show and to make the Patreon even more worthwhile with new bonus episodes, chit chats, and a bunch of extra stuff. That'll be a lot of fun for all our supporters. But we definitely need your help to get to those cool new things. And if we get to $160 a month, we'll actually hire somebody to do the monthly webpage updates at charactercreationcast.com.
This would be a quick job every month to add information on the new games we cover, as well as links to our episodes directly onto our webpage. It'll help others find our show through searching for games that we cover, but it'll also be a great resource for fans of the show. If you want a character sheet for a game we've covered, you would be able to go there and find any of the publicly available materials or links to the places where you can find them. If we can get to 200, we'll have them also go back in and add pages for the past series as well, because as you may have noticed, we've racked up quite a number of episodes.
Quite a few.
Yeah, it will go a long way to enhancing the utility of our show for everyone in the community. If we hit that $160 a month, though, I'll produce some one-time enamel pins for our campaign level backers that helped us get there. And if we get a good enough deal, we may even have extras on hand to send to future campaign level backers, along with all of those stickers that I definitely know that I owe you. I promise when the Ennies are over at the end of the month, I will have time to hand make your beautiful cards that I owe all of you. I love you. I'm sorry.
whole plethora of new stickers.
You can ask Ryan. I have been sending
ordering in batch
designs.
I know, and the ones that we got are fantastic. So I'm really excited for the new ones. And we just got to get there, and we will.
Yes.
So I promise we're keeping note of everybody that needs them and deserves them, and you will get your package. And right now, honestly, if we only get 6 more campaign level patrons, we will get past that $200 mark, which is remarkable. And those 6 folks will get some really great stuff, including those stickers, as well as those Chessex dice that we have custom made for us, and a personalized thank you card from the both of us that Amelia lovingly crafts herself with some like custom stationery stuff. It's really nice. And that's all for $10 a month. And that'll go a long way towards helping provide that one-stop shop on our website. And if we get just 2 more campaign level backers, that'll hit that $160 goal. That's not too many. And we will be able to get those enamel pins for everybody and get everything sent out later this year. I think that would be a lot of fun. But we also have $5 tiers and $1 tiers that get you various perks as well. So you can head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast and get all that info.
In addition to all of that, we like to thank our current patrons every episode, especially because you're also patient. And I do really feel bad that I have not sent you things. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to keep saying that over. This is not the thank you segment now. This is the I'm sorry segment. I swear, once the Ennies are over,
I'm sorry,
it's
we
almost
love you.
over. I have like 1,000 books in my house. But we do like to thank everyone and apologize to them personally every episode. So let's do that right now.
Absolutely. Thank you to Lieutenant DJG and Eric Bonds. We couldn't do this without you.
I just realized we could switch off every other one. You can say thank you and I'll say I'm sorry. No, we won't do that. Okay. Daryl Holiday II, Shadim Cabal, and the Shyest Barbarian, thank you for making all of this possible. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, the first batch is fine. We're glad to have you here as well, Benjamin Sweeney, Rob Fletcher, and Kevin Brown. Thanks for supporting us.
Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and A3 Sketchpad. We can't thank you enough. We will keep trying, and we will keep sending you things.
Cole McCallum, Carlos Salazar, and Eric S. Thanks for helping us make this show.
Thanks, Ian Popmeyer, Liam G., and Brian Colm. We are glad to have you with us.
Garden GM, Tanglefoot, and Blue Kryptonite. Thanks to all of you.
Danny, Nicole Trainer, and Liam Murray. Many, many thanks to you all.
Many thanks as well to Kenning, Brian Kurtz, and Mark E. Fair.
Thank you to Drew Owen, Oz, and James McGinley.
Many thanks to Sean Metcalf, Robert, and Kevin Bates.
And finally, Deadly Edley, thank you so much for your support.
And thank you to all of our future patrons. If you want to join this phenomenal group of individuals, please head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. The wonderful news is with our latest patron, thank you, Deadly Edley. We just got past that point with a significant buffer where we are covering all of our operating expenses every month. So thank you to all of our patrons for that. And with more assistance, we'll be able to get those website upgrades sooner rather than later. But also, if you want to talk with us, you can head on over to our Discord, talk to fans, guests, as well as us at discord.charactercreationcast.com.
In addition to all of that, exciting, for the first time in a while, we're going to have a review to read. If you want to help us out, you can certainly leave a review in a beautiful gesture that does not require any money. You can leave a rating or review for our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Podcast Addict. I think Spotify lets you do ratings now too. I don't know if you can do full reviews, but I think you can rate things on Spotify.
You can do episode ratings at least, yeah.
Right. We read every 5-star review as we get them, and that's right now. I'm excited.
That's right now.
Okay, this one is fresh from our latest patron, Deadly Edley, on Podchaser. 5 stars. I stumbled on this podcast 2 months ago when prepping to run the NPC MRP, hashtag not an RPG, and I was instantly hooked. I'm binging 5 nights a week to catch up on 7 years worth of episodes. It's amazing.
So much.
That, like, honestly, maybe give your brain a break. That's kind of a lot.
Or not. I love it.
What a lot of nonsense. It's amazing on so many levels. Players learn about different ways of approaching character creation, novel, sometimes bizarre character concepts, and a plethora of diverse systems to consider. Game masters gain insights on how to prepare and run games, party cohesion, and which systems are best suited to the types of campaigns they play and their players might enjoy. It's also an incredible trove of information for aspiring game designers and other content creators. A wide variety of games are covered, showcasing different genres and styles. Also, many of the discussions are with the creators of the games themselves, explaining aspects of inspiration, mechanics, playtesting and editing, layout, collaboration, marketing, and publishing. All of this and more is delivered by 2 wonderful people. Ryan and Amelia have such a great rapport with each other and their guests, even when, quote, certain systems, end quote, leave them exasperated. Scratch that.
No idea what you're talking about.
Especially when certain systems leave them exasperated. Oh boy, just you wait for next month. Oh, thank you so much. That is such a nice review. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that review so much, Deadly. That was fantastic to see. Thank you for taking the time to write that. And hopefully we've got another 7 years worth of episodes coming up for you to binge.
Absolutely. Although I will say I do not recommend listening to that much nonsense in that short of amount of time. Like, maybe like inoculate yourself a little at a time, like build up your tolerance for. I'm glad you're enjoying it enough to like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the damage is already done, you think? It's too late. Sincerely, though, thank you. That was absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, that's all that we have for today's episode. Join us here next week when we do our character creation and world building for Going Rogue. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water. May the space between be with you, and keep baking those amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this character creation series. We'll be back in part 3, picking up right where we left off.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.